Okie dokie. I am working in a sketchbook for this. I decided that was going to be the way forward for me. I picked this one up, a Reeves little journal. It's 110 GSM, which means cartridge paper, which means the paper's pretty, it's like double the thickness of your photocopy paper. Photocopy paper is about 60 to 80 grams per square metre. Well, that's how I read it. Photocopy paper is 60 to 80. This is 110. Don't mind my dog, who's telling me that someone's here, or the neighbours. Okay, so if I write down as we go, can you read this in one? I might just swap to a different colour. If I swap to a pen. Okay. Oh, I don't like that pen. Has anyone else got funny things with that pen that you don't always like? Here we go. Choosing a pen, you wouldn't think it'd be so hard. Okay. One, we're going to do a warm-up. And I like to do a continuous line, a continuous line drawing as a warm-up. And we're going to look for negative space, we're going to look for the direction. Oh, I bet you this is in reverse. Sorry folks, negative space, we're going to look for direction of line and shape direction. And as I come to that, I'll fill it out. Okay. So a continuous line drawing is good because you can't stop and change. Well, you can stop at any point, but it means that you're going to keep drawing. And you can choose what you draw the whole way, but your eye and the object are following each other. So as I move along here, my eye is going to go up and around and up and down and up and around. And basically, it's a great way just to start drawing. As you can see, I do struggle to draw and talk, but it's a great way to draw and just get your eyes used to seeing the shapes. I'm just zooming this in a bit further so you can see what I'm doing. So it's a great way just to practice to see, to draw. And get to know what you're seeing. Yeah, so if I just talk about it as I go. Okay, so what I've got is I can see a shape that goes this, like that kind of direction, like on that angle, and it juts around in, and then all of that in there is a leaf. Well, but I'm trying not to use the term leaf in my brain because when I think of a leaf, I know how it looks, but really none of these look like I imagine that that shape, that icon that you have in your brain, and they're an icon that's been put there when you're young, you're in school, and you can see these. You learn icons as opposed to seeing shapes. And maybe that's why, it really is why I prefer to teach children to see shapes. They ask me how to draw a dog and I teach them how to see shapes, which they do find annoying at times, but once they get it, and they get it for life, so then they get the skill of how to see. That takes a bit longer, but it means that you're learning to look for information as opposed to going, oh yes, that's a leaf, I know how to draw that. But I'm getting to know that each one of these leaves has a slightly different direction, a slightly different shape, and and I don't necessarily translate it correctly onto my page, but that's not really the point of why we do art. Well, maybe it is for some, but I think the fun is in the unique interpretation that each person has. And then you can see how somebody else sees the world, and I find that is the key element of why art is fun. Okay. Oh, this was going to be a continuous line drawing, and look at that. I'm not even doing it, I'm just drawing shapes. I went totally off my tangent. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to do observational. We're warming up doing an So observation drawing with shapes. We're not actually doing what I said we would because I got on a little sidetrack, but I will go back. I'm just making my notes here. For us as we go. Okay. But you can see the different direction these shapes go. 1, 2, that's not quite correct, but that's okay, you get the gist. 1, 2. I'm just looking at the direction lines go, so if I line up that direction with the direction on here, or if I line that up with the direction, I hold my pen up and I go, what direction are you? And I go, look, that leaf goes here. Where are we? That leaf there's on that direction. I can translate that direction to my page by going like this and go, that's the line. So that's pretty much what I'm doing as we go. Yeah, okay. So that will do for the moment. So that one's done with shapes, but if I do something else with a continuous line, I'm going to do the rest of it with a continuous line because this might be interesting, or it could be a disaster. Welcome to the world of art, in that sometimes things look good, most things look better the next day. Okay, continuous line, meaning that you don't really take your pen off the page, so I should have gone to there. And then what I'm going to do is, the next thing I see is this, up and over that shape, and then there's lots of jaggedy edges. So really what I'm doing is all of these jaggedy edges. And I'm doing this funny line along the bottom of my protea because I think that's like a shadow line in there, and so that can be all done with one line. I need to make that to be one line too. When I'm teaching the kids, I'm really tough that you can't lift your pen or your pencil or your whatever you're drawing with. And then others I go, oh look, we didn't even notice I lifted my pen there, because it's the challenge of not being able to lift your pen. And you can tell today that I'm really struggling with that self-imposed challenge. And it's also because I'm using a pen, and usually I prefer to do this kind of stuff with a pencil. So I'll have to experiment. I thought that would be a good challenge today. That's another good tip. If you know that you prefer to use a certain material, just work in the material that you like. Oh, where did I get to? Here. And then, see, I forgot what I was doing. You've really got to pay attention. Squiggle, squiggle. Here. And there's a branch that comes up. And that squiggles around. There's a leaf in there that does a bit of a squiggle as well. This one here goes like that, and then there's a something there. There's definitely something here. I might not fit all of this on the page, which is totally okay because you don't need to fit everything on the page. I used to really struggle with that, and now I've decided that it doesn't really matter. It's got a wiggle, a down, an up, and an across, and that's like the center. Oops, the center line. And that has something behind here. But really, you're just kind of making up, as long as you're just making random shapes, and each one will be different because nature is like that. You can't think you've got it all sorted out because that's not really how nature works. That one looks like a leaf shape. That might be recognisable. But most of these others are random. Okay. Some of these at the front are actually pretty lifelike. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and keep drawing. And as I'm going, I'm working out what things do I like to draw and what things don't I like to draw. And that's a good thing to work out, because if you don't like it, you don't do it very well. But if you go, oh, that's kind of interesting, you do it better. Anyway, I will say, if better if you stick to one colour pen for your warm-up, because then you don't get busy changing things when you don't need to. Okay, I'll do a quick speed up and I'll get back to you. It's not a direct copy at all, and there are things in here that worked and things in here that didn't, but it gives me a really good starting point of what I liked and what I don't like, and what I could do next when it comes to drawing it or painting it or interpreting this in a way that suits me. So if you sit down and draw something, you will know. You might not, you might know, you might not, but it's this feeling of, gee, I really like this kind of line, or no, I really don't like this at all. And that's what I've been asking myself the whole time, going, do I like this or don't I? I don't think the stripy things worked. For me, I think that stripe is, although very structural on the image, doesn't quite fit. As you can see, I've changed it. I've only got one of these. Gee, I wish I remembered the name of them. Flowers. One protea, and then I've got some wattle around the edge here, and I've actually turned this wattle upwards because it wouldn't fit on my page, and I really wanted to incorporate it. But as you can see, the kind of composition goes around and up, and that's kind of fun. Anyway, but that helps inform me what I will do next when it comes to making. So go ahead and do a warm-up. Sometimes I give myself a challenge of 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Today I think I did about 15. Doesn't really matter, just go with what suits you.